Good luck to you.
Good luck, good sir.
Have a nice time.
Hey guys!
So today we're going to talk about a question that we get asked all the time. Why do we call ourselves primarily plant-based instead of vegan?
And what's the difference between vegan and plant-based? Because they're basically the same thing, but they're different.
They're
same, but
definitely
different.
the same but different.
The same but different. So
let's get started. The biggest thing is that, one, we don't really believe in labels. Like if you are just a meat eater who wants to eat meatless Mondays, that's totally cool. Like we don't think that labels should even be a thing.
That's right.
But vegan versus plant-based, we think that there's a big difference in the way that people hear the word and accept the word.
Perceive the word.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. So
let's just do first, what is a vegan?
What is a vegan?
I'll start, I guess. So what is a vegan? So a vegan is, before anything, an animal activist. That's the first part of being a vegan. Now, obviously there's a vegan diet, and a vegan diet is a plant-based diet. But being a vegan means that you're an animal activist first, above everything else. So you're an animal activist, and being an animal activist means that you are against the cruelty of animals, like the animal suffering, which is a noble cause. You know, no one should suffer. It's a noble cause. But where it differentiates itself is that it's animals first, food second. So there's no like, you're not doing it for the health of it, you're doing it for the animals and animals above everything else. So you're just not eating animals and animal products. So if you call yourself a vegan, vegan means that animals are first, health is second. Where on the other side of the coin is that if you are if you follow a plant-based diet is plant-based diet first, health first, and then it's a bonus that no animals get to suffer. So talk about how and why you went plant-based.
Well, wait. So while we're going on that, though, is that, for example, if somebody who eats a plant-based whole food diet, which is what we follow, well, that's how we eat. It's not that we're following a trend. It's just the way that we eat. And it was primarily started for health reasons. And of course we're both animal lovers too, so that was part of it, but mostly for health reasons. So someone who follows a plant-based whole food diet is not going to be eating an Oreo, whereas someone who's a vegan and might not necessarily totally care about what they're eating as long as it doesn't have an animal product in it, technically Oreos are vegan. There's also like a lot of processed foods that you can buy if you're vegan. Like obviously big giant companies have now tried to create things that are vegan friendly. So you can go to the grocery store and there's tons of processed foods now, whereas someone like us, we don't buy tons of processed foods at all.
That's right. So there's a bunch of fake.
Never.
So there's a bunch of fake meats that are now on the market to fit the vegan trend, but we don't eat fake meats because fake meats are highly processed, and that goes against the health of eating a plant-based diet. So you can see what we're getting at was that vegans and everything, both people are beautiful. Like everyone's awesome. Cool. Everyone's awesome. But we're saying from our point of view is that if you're a vegan, then you only care about being able to not eat animals, so you can eat fake meat or whatever kind of meat that you want to eat, non-meat meat. But people that follow, like us, that follow a plant-based diet, we don't eat fake meats because they're so processed and there's bad stuff. And when I say bad stuff in them, stuff that you don't need to be eating. It's like unnecessary chemicals and unnecessary additives
salts,
and ingredients that are unnecessary to be eating. So we try to follow a whole food plant-based diet, which means that all of our food comes exactly the way that it came. Obviously, there's some exceptions. I eat tofu, which is a process to make tofu. Pasta, things like this. We're also gluten-free, which is a different issue.
Yeah, but if you also look on the back of packages, you'll see that there's like 50 ingredients, which is the same as before we were even plant-based. Like we still wouldn't have bought packages that had 50 ingredients on them.
That's right.
So it's great that there are people out there who are making foods for people who do want to just eat vegan and not harm any animals. That's awesome. But someone like us, we're not going to buy stuff like that. So that's why we call ourselves plant-based instead of vegan. One of the reasons. Another reason is because we think that the word vegan has a negative connotation to someone who is not a vegan.
That's right. So there are a lot of people out there doing amazing work in the vegan community, like James Aspie, a great friend of ours who's doing amazing vegan work and promoting a vegan diet from a standpoint of compassion rather than just from a standpoint of aggression. There are many vegans out there that come from a standpoint of aggression and attack non-vegans for eating meat, which is the wrong way to go about it, because that sends a bad message and it kind of stops a meat eater from even considering changing because it was an aggressive act. So we also kind of take ourselves out of that pool of people by not saying that we're quote-unquote vegan from the outset. We just say, hey, let's teach you how to eat plant-based diet. Veggies are good to eat.
Veggies are good.
Veggies are good.
Yeah, I mean, there's just lots of, I think when someone hears the word vegan, before I was a vegan, I heard the word vegan and I thought aggression, like I just didn't like that word because I thought, oh, these people are crazy. How can they even not eat figs? Because apparently figs have wasps in them.
Well, that's a whole other issue.
I know, I'm just saying, but like I never thought I would be a full out vegan. You know what I mean? Like they avoid leather, they avoid makeup, they avoid different things. Like we're not to that extreme. We still eat honey. So there's just, in my eyes, a big difference. And so we never wanted to come across as like we were being aggressive. We weren't turning this channel into vegans and we're now vegan activists and we're going to show you really horrific videos of animals. Like that's not our approach at all. Yeah. So
our approach is we just want to get everyone to teach you how to cook vegetables, teach you how to cook healthy plant-based food, so that when it comes to that time that you're interested in becoming vegan or looking into eating more of a vegan plant-based diet, you know where to come. You know, we have recipes for you. We can support you and help teaching you how to cook. Because this channel, first and foremost, is teaching you how to cook. We're chefs. I'm a chef. I'm born to teach people how to cook. That's my mission in life. Everything else other than that is like teaching people how to be better people and, you know, live healthier lifestyles. But how to cook is our thing. Yeah. How to cook. So if we teach you how to cook plant-based, then you have the support you need when it comes to in the kitchen to living a plant-based lifestyle.
It's also totally okay, like we were saying before, that if you are someone who still eats meat, you can still watch our channel and just have like a couple of meals a week that have no animal products in them.
That's right.
So we're not like aggressive at you being like you have to be a vegan 100%. Like if you just want to have a few nights a week where it's meatless or animal-less, then that's awesome. Like, and you'll feel the health benefits of it. We've gotten tons of messages from people who said that they would never have thought that they would eat vegetarian or vegan, and then they started incorporating some of our meals and they feel better, they lost some weight, whatever it is.
Same with like people that say that they never used tofu before, and you know, it was even before we turned plant-based, Stephanie used tofu in Steph's curry and tofu in the satay, and you guys were like, oh wow, I never knew how to cook tofu properly. Excited to try something new for a change.
Actually, Steph's curry. That was one of the first videos that were like, we didn't want to call it vegan curry because we didn't want everyone to freak out and not watch it. And then it's like hilarious. It's one of the most popular videos. Everybody loves that video and nobody knows that it's vegan, which is just kind of funny for us. But yeah, it's the combination of flavors. There's new things that you can experiment with. There's so many new foods that we eat now that we're plant-based. Having a plant-based diet is really awesome because you can experiment with new things and then you don't get tired of eating the same thing. I was getting tired of eating chicken every day because, going back to what Adam said, why did I turn plant-based? The reason why I went plant-based was it was a whole progression. Like, it's also not an overnight thing. Like, you don't have to all of a sudden wake up and say, it's New Year's Day and I'm gonna go full vegan when I have just been eating meat for the last 30 years of my life. You don't have to do that. My progression took me like 4 years. And it started because every time we made hamburgers, like just bought beef at the store and made a hamburger, I started to get super grossed out. Just like, this was like way before documentaries were out. Like I just all of a sudden my body was like, ew, I don't want to eat this anymore. And I used to eat meat like this color red. Like that's how my family has always eaten meat, like super rare. So all of a sudden I just like got really grossed out, started picking around the hamburger and only eating like the not rare parts. So then like red meat went out the window. I never really used to eat pork anyway. So then I was down to like chicken and eggs and dairy and fish. And then one day I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna cut out the chicken and because I started to get sick of chicken. And then I went full pescatarian. So I was only eating fish, eggs, dairy, and then plant-based diet. And then that turned into
skin and everything.
Well, I was already having skin issues. Like I started to notice small patches of eczema, and but then it was almost our wedding, and I went to a naturopath. Hey, Kat. I went to Kat, and she was like, actually, eggs and dairy are super inflammatory. You should take eggs and dairy out of your body. So I went. At this point, I had already given up fish. So then I took out eggs and dairy, and that was how I became plant-based. And that was over 2 years ago now, and I'm really happy that I went that way.
So if you notice, it wasn't like we watched a documentary and then became activists and then changed our diet. It was a progression of, eventually after a while, if you take enough food out of your diet, you basically start eating a plant-based diet. So you are going to discover over the next few years, when all the science comes out, which is already out, but once you start hearing it in real life, you know, what eggs do to the body, what milk does to the body, everything to do with the beef industry, you're going to start being like, okay, I'm going to take this out today, now I'm going to take this out this week, and then before you know it, you're going to have a plant-based diet. Everyone will be plant-based in the next 10, 15 years. That's just how it is going to be. And yeah, we want you guys to make sure that you get all the right recipes.
And there's no pressure.
And there's no pressure. And it's also, it's not like a ride or die, as in like, if you still want to have meat, or when you eat out, eat meat, or do whatever, that's up to you. We don't worry about what you do what you want to do. But like I said, we are just here to provide you with meals so you can learn how to cook plant-based and learn how to cook veggies.
And we still have all of our other videos on our channel. If you still want to eat those recipes, that's cool. They're still there. People keep asking us to make up like different recipes like keto and go back to meat recipes.
Not happening.
We don't do that anymore. That's not what we eat, so we're not going to do that. We actually lived a long time still trying to make recipes to please our audience, and eventually we had total burnout because we were trying to please you guys instead of doing what we actually do.
Actually, physically.
So all those other recipes, though, are still on the channel, so you can go check those out if you would like.
So to sum up, being vegan, different to plant-based, is vegan is an animal activism. It's animal activism, and then you eat a diet less of animal products and meat. And then following a plant-based diet means that you're doing it for the health of it, and animals not suffering is a bonus. But both are exactly the same. Both are exactly the same. They're exactly the same diets and exactly the same things. So if you have people that are asking you questions about why you're not eating meat, and you feel like intimidated about telling your family and friends that you're vegan because they're gonna, get mad at you, just say you're plant-based and you don't eat meat, and
that's easier.
That's easier. It's a way to get around it.
This is ready. Let's just do a reenactment. Okay, ready? Adam, ask me what I eat.
Steph, what do you eat?
I'm vegan.
Oh, one of those.
Oh.
One of those. But how do you get your protein?
Where do you get your B12? Where do you get your blood?
Where do you get your protein?
Okay, let's try that again.
Where do cows get their protein? That's on another episode.
No.
Hey Steph, what do you eat?
I eat a plant-based diet.
Cool. What does that mean?
Exactly. People are always like,
it confuses them.
What? Like they don't even know what that means. But then you break it down, and they're like, oh, okay. That's like more accepting people rather than being like, I'm a vegan, and then they're totally like turned off, like, oh, she's crazy.
Yeah. Or you can say that you can't eat meat. You can't eat meat, fish, eggs, or dairy, and then they go, oh, okay. But what about? But that's okay. We make lamb.
That's okay. We make lamb. And then the other thing that we just want to say is that if you are vegan and you call yourself a vegan, but now you're realizing that you're actually plant-based, like, it totally doesn't matter. Like I said in the beginning, like, labels are stupid. And that we're just explaining in this video that that's why we call ourselves plant-based. But technically we're vegans too.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you call yourself a vegan or a plant-based. And if you are vegan and you are eating a whole food plant-based diet and you are not in agreement with what we just said about that vegans are for the animals, then totally fine. Like whatever, it doesn't really matter.
Whichever way you're doing it, do it. Whatever it is. This video was just the difference between people that didn't understand what the difference was.
Yeah.
They're the same thing.
They're the same thing. But that's in our minds why we differentiate and why we call ourselves plant-based. And
that's right, because there is a world where being a vegan technically isn't healthy. You can be a 100% unhealthy vegan. 100%, that's totally legitimate. You can be an Oreo eating vegan that
good point
is just not healthy. We didn't say that up until this point. I can't believe it.
I know.
Yes, that's the difference. Is because you can be an unhealthy vegan. That's not being vegan doesn't give you a ticket to health.
And that is not a good thing.
Yeah, that's what the point we're trying to make.
And that's one of the reasons why people are like, oh, veganism is unhealthy, but it's actually like not. If you're eating good foods,
you're eating healthy, yeah.
If you're eating healthy foods, if you're eating a lot of like plant-based foods instead of just eating all the processed foods that we were talking about, then totally different story. But totally like Adam is saying, like you can literally just eat a box of Oreos and corn chips and
then technically you're vegan, and technically, but you're not being healthy to your own body.
Yeah.
So obviously you want to look after your own body too, right? You want to get all the vitamins, minerals, nutrients in, and be healthy, and not be all the things that people assume that vegans are, like they're anorexic, or they have no protein, and they have no muscle mass, and they get sick all the time, and
Yep.
you know what I mean?
And then people like hear things like, oh, well, this person failed at being a vegan and had to stop being a vegan because she got sick. And I'm like, the question is, well, what was she eating? Like, just with any diet, with any lifestyle that you were following, you can either eat the healthy versions of the foods or you can eat the unhealthy versions of the foods. So there's a big difference. So that's another thing.
Yeah, and if you feel like you have to stop a diet, then you're probably doing the whole thing wrong. So we've been plant-based now for 2 years. I've been plant-based for like 1.5 years, more than 2 years, and it's a lifestyle change. Like, there's no way that we would ever stop. Like, I'll never eat meat again. I'll never eat butter again. Like, it's just, there are so many alternatives now. We get butter, like,
I make cheeses,
vegan butter,
homemade
vegan cheeses. We make our own desserts now. We make cookies. We make cakes. We make everything. We don't miss out. What are we missing out on? And when we go out, we're not missing out on either. There are so many options now when you go out that you never get to miss out. Like, there's a myth that you go vegan, you miss out on eating food. No, you get to eat whatever you want.
And also, vegans are literally changing the landscape right now.
True.
Like, hugely, because even just 2 years ago, me trying to find vegan food at a restaurant was slightly difficult.
Yeah.
Now it's like, well,
everywhere.
It's much easier now. I mean, I'm also a little complicated because I'm gluten-free, soy-free, like all the other frees.
Everything free.
But if you're just vegan and plant-based, whatever, like it's much easier to find food for yourself now. And not to mention that giant companies like Tyson and Purdue and giant like meat companies are now buying stock in plant-based products.
Yes, and
So
making plant-based products.
That is a huge indicator that vegans are actually changing the landscape. If you feel like, oh, just eating meatless Monday isn't going to help, it actually is a huge difference. Makes a huge difference.
So one beef patty makes like however many gallons of water it says. I don't have the clip on it, but it's like 2 weeks worth of showering.
We didn't even talk about environmental. I mean, like that's a whole other thing.
Whole other thing.
So, but whatever way that you choose to go is totally fine. If you're still eating meat, it's totally fine. This wasn't supposed to like make you feel bad. It's just...
And now we hope you guys understand the difference between plant-based and vegan is. It's the same thing.
There you go. So, that's about it.
If you have any more questions for us, we're going to do more videos just like this where we answer your questions about being plant-based or being vegan. You can leave them in the comment section below.
So, that's it.
Catch you next time, guys.
Bye, guys.
Namaste.